Good morning, everyone. Easter Monday. Whoa, Easter was great, I have to say. Uh, I just, it's amazing okay, I'm not going to go there, but uh, so Saturday night, uh, sis-in-law and I, we were here by ourselves, sitting on the porch, just talking, and we already had a plan to, regardless, we're going to have an Easter dinner, okay? Because we knew people were out on the road and they were going to come back here, even if just traveling through as well. And so we're gonna do it. And I took out the last ham that I got from our friend Larry. Oh my gosh, I have to say it's not. He's retired now from the place he worked at, and we got so many things that otherwise would have gone into the trash, and we got it, and we're able to distribute. Okay, I worked there for a while with him as the manager, and I started that, and it was kind of interesting on how that all kind of came to. Okay, I've always been a dumpster diver. Okay, that sounds bad in a way, but it really isn't. I was always amazed on how God, in a way, and Spirit World fixed it so that whoever I was doing that with, which for a long time I did that with Nancy, another a sister in our church and the movement that I'm with, Unification Church, now Family Federation for World Peace and Unification. Um, and of course, we believe in the second coming. That's already happening with true parents. Reverend Sun Myung Moon, which, by the way, that's not his real name. It's just like, why did he change the name? Was that necessary? But again, people do what they do, even if they are. Jesus did some things. Why did he do that? Like, why would you go and visit a place of absolute ill repute and do what? What? Okay, all right, okay. Um, True parents, okay. And and we would find these places. Don't ask me how we found them. It's again Spirit World working. And we found these places where, but that's still good, and that's still good. And one of them was a bread place, couple of them, okay? And they had really, really clean dumpsters. And our children were little enough, and they loved it, okay? They loved it because we explained to them what we were doing, okay? And we would get these bags and bags and bags of really good bread. I mean, we're talking $4 or $5, now probably $8 $9 breads. The special ones, really well made, really nutritious. We get all this bread, and we would bring it to the church and set it up. And we did have a little donation box, but that was voluntary, and it did help one of the families. Okay, all right. I didn't get it. I didn't keep any. Oh my gosh. I would, to keep anything, even by people given, out of the goodness of their heart, say, man, I'm getting $20 of really good bread for the week, for a couple weeks, or whatever, for my family, even though it's a day old, 2 days old. I'll give a couple dollars. It would have never occurred to me to keep any of that to myself unless I really, really needed it. And then I never did. And in any case, but another family really did, and that's where it went. But it's amazing in both places, these bread places, that we found that. Okay, first we would sneak into the dumpsters, right? And then the people asked us, "What are they doing?" I said, "Well, we're bringing it to the church. This is all going to go to the trash, right?" Yes. And we would come and say, stop, don't go into the dumpsters. We've got it ready for you on trays. Yes. And so, yeah, yeah, yes, okay. Yeah. People were touched there too. By what? The heart of God, the grace of God. So rather than just, oh, it was me who did all that. Oh, it was my friend Nancy who did all that. Oh, it was our children who did. No, it became what? Something greater. Yes, where other people were involved as well, making it easier for us to do what we felt was the right thing to do. So in this case as well, I worked there for a while, and you could, when things got ready to be put out in the dumpster, you were allowed as the employee to go and look and put things in a box and pay like $2 a box. Even though all of it went into the dumpster, regardless, you still paid. Okay, that's all right. That's okay. And suddenly I was ready to go up to the register with my box that I had filled with goodies that were still perfectly fine, yet were sanctioned for the dumpster. And the store manager at the time, comes up to me and says, I'm going to charge you $5 for this. You are? Really? And I said to him, I said, you do realize that anything that anyone here takes out and even pays a little for it, this, that, or saves and makes use of it and reuses it and gives it away, this or that, as it is a blessing for this store? Rather than it being just thrown out, lovelessly thrown out. Huh? Food that is something we need to survive on, out into the dumpster because it has an expiration date on it, which may or may not be accurate, or that's the safest way to go, yet the food is still perfectly fine. So I said, what you should be doing is you should just give it away all free to start with. So do think, do you really want to charge me $5 for the box? I said, I will pay it. But where is the greed suddenly coming from you for something that has nothing but blessings attached if you decide, yeah. Okay, so one thing was you can't sell that type of food. And some people, of course, again, someone's willing to, okay, I'm going to let it all go to you. And then if somebody gets sick and somehow still it's known where it comes from, guess what? Yes. Oh, there's a lot of lawyers out there just, yeah, I got my day in court now. But somehow the store manager listened. And so then suddenly I could take truckloads home and distribute it among many different families, this and that. And it was just such a blessing. But then I quit my job there. It still kept on going through my friend Larry, who worked there, in the meat department. And it was right there where all the food would go out to the dumpster, and he'd say, oh, I know Daniela's going to, I know. And he was a very God-loving man as well. So for many years that kept on going, even after I didn't work there anymore, but now he retired, and it's all kind of dried up. So this ham was one of the last things, and it was huge. It was, I'd say 20 or 25 pounds. I've never cooked a ham this big. And so anyway, so Sis and I, we put this really nice meal on the table, this and that, and sure enough, here come the people, and then, oh, but still, we made so much. Okay. Where's it going to go? Because today I'm home all alone again, right? Yeah, which I love, okay? And it's already, it looks very, everything fit in the fridge, so which tells you already that Yep, it's not, nothing's going to go to waste. Ah, what an Easter Sunday. Besides that, so then Sissy says, "Hey, you want to go to church with me?" And I'm not a church going anymore. I love it at home. I do my own church here every day, if that's how one would want to look at it anyway. And I thought, hey, you know what? Yeah. And in a way, again, I want to please my sis. Right? Yes. And for her to bring someone with her to church. Mhm. Besides, I really wanted to go. Easter Sunday. Okay. So we went. And of course, before that, you get ready and you dress up and this and that. And I had nothing better to do than put a whole bunch of that one cream. You know, I'm going, man, that's a lot. You know, I went, oh, man, that was a lot. Yeah. And have just, my system rejects anything that's not part of God's creation per se. And we got in the car, and I'm going, oh my gosh, my eyes are just tearing like crazy, you know. And then I could feel my face just hot. I'm going, I used too much of that cream on my face. I used just a little dollop usually, just like with I said with the toothpaste, you know. And I just squeezed more out. It had just somehow that needed to be somehow. And oh my gosh, it's like my eyes just they would clear up a little and then it would get tear up and my sister said, man, your eyes are really red. I'm going, oh my gosh. I said, I haven't been out in months and months under people, this and that. Now here I am, and I look like what? A red tomato with my eyes all red from okay. Overuse of something. I really loved the sermon that the preacher gave. That it was a Presbyterian church, and the preacher's name. I'm going to mention it here because I think I should. Good people should be mentioned. His name is Merle Cottle, and he has a really amazing presence before God. I'm just going to say that. And he gave a really, really nice sermon. I liked it. Yes. One thing, and interestingly enough, I mentioned that before in the Bible videos on how words are just words. Action is where the people will gain some understanding on what the Word of God does in our lives. And he mentioned that. And I loved it. And yep. And we had a really nice little talk afterwards. And I knew, I'm not going to mention everything here, but I knew why I was there as well. This preacher isn't just there for the people. We are there for him as well. And the whole time my eyes were tearing and it just kept getting worse, and I realized my nose was running, and I don't have allergies. I know when I have a cold, but I don't have allergies. And I realized that I'm getting a good dose of someone that has allergies to things. And man, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. It is really something that, oh my gosh, I mean, I could tell my eyesight, I'm perfectly fine now. Oh, I came home. The first thing I did is wash my face. I'll get this stuff all off. And it was still there. I could tell from the way I was, oh my gosh, it's still there. It's all still there. Get it off me. Right? And on how people must feel when they suddenly have an allergy attack. Right? That's it. I didn't understand that before. Right? We always go through certain things so we gain greater understanding on what other people go through. Right? Yes. Of course, I'm a solution uh, maker kind of person and going, okay, I got something to work on that hopefully will help people due to the fact I know a lot about herbs, this and that. I've said this before. If you are out there and you're having hay fever or you're allergic to certain things out there in nature, there is a weed. It's called ragweed. Go and look it up. It grows in many, many different areas in the world. I mean, including here, everywhere. And once it comes up, and it is a culprit, it will give you bad allergies. Not me. I don't have a problem with. I don't even have a problem with poison ivy or poison oak. It doesn't affect me. Okay, except for one plant, the sumac. I did touch some sumac accidentally, and it just rubbed on my skin here, and it's like, holy cannoli, where did this blisters all come from? I know that it affects other people way worse than that. It's a very, very poisonous tree. Has a good opposite though, which is the red sumac. This is white sumac. The red sumac is a natural lemonade out there, the fruit of it. Very beautiful. They're very easy to distinguish between each other, but yes, one is devastating to us when it comes to that, and the other one is very beneficial to us. Yes, okay. But again, yes. So the ragweed. The ragweed is and it's edible. You just take one little leaf. If you are susceptible to things that make you allergic out in nature, you take a little leaf, a couple little leaves. It's very safe for children as well, and just eat it. Of course, the younger leaves are more tasty than the older leaves that get more bitter, but you can also make a tea. Now, again, don't overdo it. You don't need much of it. And the culprit, amazingly enough, is also the cure. Okay, too many of these things. So, said that, but I got a good dose of what it feels like. Of course, I was allergic to something that was man-made, right? Oh, I should know better, and here I am. I haven't been out in months, sitting in church and going, oh, and Sis looks at me and says, man, your face. I'm going, yes, I feel it. Yeah. And my nose was running, and my eyes were just, it was like, oh, I thought maybe I'll just pretend, God, I just love this on this earth. So, okay, I don't do that either. But it's beautiful. It's wonderful to be there. Another thing I noticed, and I told Sis, I said, I realized again on how loud my voice is, even when I talk quietly. And she said, because I felt like all I could hear over the prayers we were doing and the singing was me. I can't help it. Anyway, so there it is. Shared that. And another thing I found interesting that he said, the preacher, was that now Easter Sunday is another beginning again. I'm going, oh, that's interesting, because here we are reading in the Old Testament where with the Israelites, their calendar starts when? When is their first of the year, per se? Ah, yes. Yeah. Interesting. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get going here. Oh, first, we're still on our celestial. I mentioned that. I shared that with the priest. Just it. There's a celestial condition going on. Of course, he didn't ask, oh, what is that? He didn't ask that. I said, it doesn't matter. I mentioned it. I said, let's just continue with what you're doing. It's going to be important regardless. All right. I was a blessed child. Peace in mankind. Care and love for every dependent child. Peace. Every child feels secure, which reflects cause and effect in the child's life. Peace. Every child eats. Oh, is that why I had to mention it? Peace. Every child is warmed in cold times. Peace. Understanding a child's growth in troubling times, then to guide the child to attain harmony with peace. I am peace as a father, as a mother, as a son, as a daughter of God. Peace, to become the best I can be for every child. Repentance, knowing every child is deserving of peace. Prayer, knowing every child comes first. Restored, conditions are fulfilled when every child is loved and cared for. Death separates us from our earthly path to attain peace. Our taught descendants are the future, the change of lineage, God's lineage in action, the true cause and effect in a child's harmonious and happy life. I am an adult, ashamed to ask for anything from my heavenly parents for myself. If a child on earth needs my prayers and conditions greater than I, peace will happen when peace can be found in every child. I will be less than any child that suffers due to mankind's unkindness. Spirit world will hold us all accountable regardless. Remember that. Good. Keeps me humble. This keeps me humble. It's a good thing to stay humble. All right. Let's see where we are at here. 21 in Numbers. Oh, interestingly enough, I told him that I'm reading the Bible from beginning to end. I'm making videos. And I told him, I said, go and check it out. I said, I'd love to have some input from you as a preacher. Right? See what, And he says, oh, I'm doing the same thing. I'm in Exodus right now. He went, okay. You're not alone out there. You're not alone. Okay, so let's get started here. The capture of Hormah. The heck, who is that now? The king of Arad, the Canaanite living in the Negev, learned that Israel was coming by way of Atarim. He attacked Israel and took some prisoners. Oh, that's a new one to me. Israel then made this vow to Yahweh: if you deliver this people into my power, I shall curse their towns with destructions. Yahweh heard Israel's word and delivered the Canaanites into their power and destroyed them in accordance with their curse. Hence the place was given the name Hormah. Really? Let's just keep reading. We'll see what else comes up. No, God's used here again. I have no doubt. It's just what it is. People get mad when things happen to them. People get upset and they want revenge and vengeance, and all that is big on their list. And if the bronze serpent. They left Mount Hor by the road to the Sea of Sup, the skirt around Edom. On the way, the people lost patience. So here it comes out. They spoke against God and against Moses. Why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in the desert? For there is neither food nor water here. We are sick of this meager diet. At this God sent fiery serpents among the people. Their bite brought death to many in Israel. The people came and said to Moses, we have sinned by speaking against Yahweh and against you. Intercede for us with Yahweh to save us from these serpents. Moses interceded for the people, and Yahweh replied, make a fiery serpent and raise it as a standard. Anyone who is bitten and looks at it will survive. Moses then made a serpent out of bronze and raised it as a standard, and anyone who was bitten by a serpent and looked at the bronze serpent survived. All right, are you guys getting this? Do you know where I live? They have practices here that still go back to the Old Testament. Okay, now here's the thing. I think sometimes people forget that due to the fact and what happened in Genesis and in the Garden of Eden, we are very much influenced by another per se God. And it's not our heavenly parent in heaven. It's not God who created the 6 days and the seventh day to rest. Another God. Another God that was also expelled out of the Garden of Eden, and said, you go and stay in that corner, and you don't come back out of that corner. To produce, again, something out of bronze that has the form of what? An animal. And put that in front of the people to get what? Bitten by bronze? Okay, I'm just saying, okay? What does that sound like? Who's guiding the Israelites right now? And why do they keep muttering and being upset over every little hurdle, little, maybe big hurdle, that they come across? How many times has God already, the true God, the one that did bring them out of Egypt and all that, tries to make them his people and not that other God's people anymore? How many times has he given them, amended towards them what they needed, what they were complaining about? And here they keep right on going. It seems like to me they keep right on going because, hey, it's working. Do I believe that God actually, our heavenly parent, God, the one that was the creator of the beginning of all this, Earth, solar system, Earth, mankind, this, that, would he do this after the golden calf? Something to think about. So who's in charge here? Mm-hmm. Would he curse the people? Mm-hmm. Would he go with the curses of the... No. No, no. Now, as I said, then God's awfully moody. And that's not the God I know either. So has he changed? Has he? Then what are we being taught all our life? Huh? You know, I found that you can have the best intentions with someone and you give them all the great good guidance there is, really, towards a better life, towards happiness, towards be constant with the laws of heaven. That 10 Commandments, Lord's Prayer. Yes, then of course the family pledge in the completed testament age. But someone can come along and have a 5-minute talk with you. You know nothing about them. This, that. They give you a 5-minute talk and they put the doubts and the this and that in your heart like piercing arrows, and suddenly you are where? You believe someone that knows nothing about you, knows nothing about your upbringing, your family, your surroundings, this and that, knows nothing about you. And they have such power to destruct you within 5 minutes. And anything that you've been taught before that for years and years, that was good, very good. People you should trust, suddenly you distrust. people so easily bowled over. It's like you're all sitting there as pegs, and someone comes with a bowling ball. Let's see, am I going to get a 9 today, or am I going to bowl over at least 3 or 4 of them? Yeah, it's kind of like that, isn't it? That's how constant people are out there. Inconstant, right? Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to believe in one God in the Old Testament, then another God in the New Testament, and another God in the completed Testament. It's all the same. It's the same God. The one that I believe in never changed. Completely. Never changed. Unchanging. Omnipotent, omniscient, all loving, at all times, always been that way. Eh? Yes. You think the Israelites needed somehow an excuse for God to not be that? So that they could, and who were it? You really think that Satan wasn't lurking around there too? All right. Let's keep going. I say it's an interesting thing. Guided for so many years in such a good way. And it literally takes one person who has not the good of you in mind, bad. Want to make you part of their misery as well. Because misery loves company. 5 minutes in their company. And you start to doubt everything you've known. Yes? That's true, isn't it? And no studying involved. No getting, okay, let's have a look a little bit deeper into that. And then being able to have an actual conversation with that person who's trying to do what? Tear you away from what? Okay. Oh, where is this going? Easter Monday. Yeah, and anyone who was bitten by a serpent and looked at the bronze serpent survived. Really? I'll tell you what. We live around poisonous snakes here. And they're copperheads, which as an adult you'll survive a bite just fine. I've got coal dust here that has always helped all the animals that got bitten, and I do. There's enough of them around here. Never had to deal with a person getting bit yet. I was a couple of times close to getting bit, but guess what? Something always alerted me before that would happen. One time it was one of our cats who jumped back while I was fixing a strawberry bed. It had some netting in it that I had put over it, and I was picking up the netting and taking it up, and then the cat jumped back, and I let go of the netting, and sure enough, there was a copperhead cut in it, ready to strike at my hand. I didn't get bit. Oh. Prevention? Again. Okay. Well, it's the way it is, I'm telling you. By stages to Transjordan, the Israelites set out and camped at Abat. Then they left Abat and camped at Aye Abarim in the desert on the eastern border of Moab. They set out from there and camped in the gorge of the Sered. They set out from there and camped on the other side of the Arnon. This gorge in the desert begins in the territory of the Amorites, for the Arnon is the frontier of Moab, between the Moabites and the Amorites. That is why it says in the book of the Wars of Yahweh, doggone it, I'm telling you what. Makes me so mad. In the book of the Wars of Yahweh. You can't pull God into all this. You're just not happy. Waheb near Succoth and the gorges of the Arnon and the slope of the ravine running down to the site of Ar and over against the frontier of Moab. And from there they went to Beer. Beer! 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 Ah! Sometimes you wonder why certain things get their name. Beer. All right. Spirit World is telling me, calm down, calm down. I am calm. No, I can't. Makes me mad. Okay, all right. I don't like misrepresentations of anything. It's wrong. It's disrespectful and it is wrong. Okay, all right. Not about the beer, just about what we talked about before. That being the well in connection with which Yahweh had said to Moses, call the people together and I will give them water. Then it was that Israel sang this song. Spring up well, sing out for the well, sunk by the princes, dug by the people's leaders, with the scepter, with their staffs. So dependent. The people are so dependent. And from the desert to Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamat, and from Bamat to the valley that opens into the country of Moab towards the heights of Pisgah overlooking the desert. Okay. The conquest of Transjordan. Israel sent messengers to say to Sihon, king of the Amorites, I wish to pass through your country. We shall not stay in the fields of vineyards. We shall not drink the water from the wells. We shall keep to the king's highway until we have passed through your territory. But Sihon would not give Israel leave to pass through his country. He assembled all his people and marched into the desert to meet Israel and reached Yahaz, where he gave battle to Israel. Israel defeated him by force of arms and conquered his country from the Arnon to the what? Israel defeated him by force of arms and conquered his country from the Arnon to the Jabbok, as far as the Ammonites, for Jazer marked the Ammonite frontier. Israel took all these towns. Israel occupied all the Amorite towns, Heshbon and all its dependencies. Heshbon being the capital of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had made war on the first king of Moab and captured all his territory as far as the Arnon. Hence the poets say, come to Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be rebuilt on firm foundations. For fire has burst from Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon, devouring Ar of Moab, engulfing the heights of the Arnon. O unhappy Moab, people of Chemosh, you are lost. He has resigned his sons as fugitives and his daughters as prisoners to Sihon, king of the Amorites. Their posterity has been destroyed for Heshbon all the way to Dibon, and we have lit a fire all the way from Nopah to Medeba. Thus Israel occupied the Amorites' territory. Moses then sent men to reconnoiter Jazer, and Israel took it and its dependencies, evicting the Amorites who lived there. They then turned and marched on Bashan. Og, king of Bashan, and all his people marched to meet them and give battle at Edrei. Yahweh said to Moses, do not be afraid of him, for I have put him, all his people, in his country at your mercy. Treat him as you treated Sihon, king of the Amorites who lived in Heshbon. So they pressed their attack against him, his sons, and all his people, until there was no one left alive, and they took possession of his country. That's the end of 21. Let the wars begin. Now, we've read everything beforehand. I am not going to say a whole lot more to this, except for I see Maverick out there. They were out all night again. They can hear me talking here. As I say, my voice is very loud. Um, it amazes me on how successful the Israelites were when it came to war. And again, nobody was left alive. But it just callous, horrible people the Israelites were. Well, I'm assuming that meant kill the kids, the women and the kids too. Right? Yes? Okay, whatever. It's war in any form or way, regardless, is not a part of, has never been a part of God's plan. So people can read this however they want to. Okay? Yes? I felt nothing but disgust in this particular Numbers 21 over the behavior of the Israelites. Well, it's already passed, so whatever, right? What do I know? This, that. That's not how one solves conflict. That's just not how it works. I know it doesn't work that way. And I know that God did not approve of that. I don't care how many times they mention his name, God's name, Yahweh's name, who says, oh yeah, go on, I'll be with you. Right? Because here's the thing. Within the Israelites' camps, right, we found that, well, Yahweh said, just going out there, I'm going to spread a plague among all the unbelievers or all of them, don't care. Then Aaron had to go out there and, okay, oh, please, at first had to plead again, this, fix it, this and that. So, what stopped, if that were true, again, yes, what stopped God from just saying, you guys just stay here, you've been remember, they're complaining about food. They're complaining about water. So supposedly people are starving and dying, and there's diseases, and I don't know what. And here they're ready to fight and win a war. Wow. So they must be in pretty good shape then, aren't they? Not only that, but they're in such good shape. And somehow the path through the desert has made them a cruel people. I don't think it matters who the children of whom or whatever they are, they're children, and if you have the heart to slice the throat of a child, then what does that make you? I'm just saying, okay? But God could have gone ahead, brought a bunch of plagues and said, you guys just stay here for a few weeks, a few months. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that through a plague or something, we're going to clear out the place. But he didn't do that, did he? I think that there, in the Bible again, in the Old Testament, when it comes to all this, when the Israelites were moving ahead and came across other people, they neglected to really, truly follow God's guidance. Here is Moses every time he sends, reconnoiter is again, that's not going for peace talks. That's not going to say, okay, we're here, we need to move through. And as soon as there's and again, has news traveled of this huge group of people moving through certain areas, and it didn't matter. They weren't looked at as peaceful people. Oh, we're the peaceful people. What have we learned already? How the Israelites behaved anytime anything came a little towards them. Yes, stone a person to death because they went out on the Sabbath. Really? That was the direction from God? Or, I said, mob mentality. What does mob mentality do within a people? Okay. When people suddenly decide that they're special people and that they are greater value to God than others, right, then that's right there is where the problem starts. The people around God's people that weren't within the Israelite system didn't trust them. And it wasn't because, that's because they believed in God. That wasn't because of that. It's because the reputation of the Israelites preceded them wherever they went. And even though they gave promise to just pass through, they weren't believed. Why were they not believed? If they would have been known as a peace-loving people that were guided by this cloud during the day and the fire at night, this that, and good things would have come out of the whole tribe of Israel, you really think that then all these other people out there with their kings and territories would not have just let them pass through? So what else was there that preceded the Israelites? Well, that's because we like to put the blame outside of something. You like to look for the devil outside. Yes? Now, how much have we read to know that the devil was very much a part of the Israelites as well? Their behavior has already shown us that. Yes? I wasn't there. I'm just reading through the lines. I'm reading the words. I'm going, wait a second. Yes? And what are we still doing today? I believe very much that the Bible is a tool to teach us. It's teaching us what to do and what not to do. It just depends on how do we want to be a part of actually God's life. Yes. How do you want to be a part of God's life? Huh? You want him to be a part of your life, right? How can you be truly a part of God's life? And then not misrepresent him. Decide to use him anytime. Right? You think, well, I'm on the right track. They're not. So I'm going to use God as a backup. Make sure God truly approves of what you're doing first. And if you have a good heart to mind, if your conscience is awake and open, you will get the answer. Nope, not going to approve of that. You need to go through the 10 Commandments again. Please review the Lord's Prayer and get acquainted with the family pledge. Yes? All right. That's all I have to say today. Easter Monday. It's going to be a sunny day. I was going to do some planting, couldn't because it was raining, it was cold. I like a certain way on how I work out there, and I'd rather wait a day or two and have then a really amazing experience, yes, than be miserable out there. And because I don't have to. That doesn't mean that sometimes you have to do things that, yeah, it's miserable. I think of the crews here when the power goes out, this and oh my God, in the snow. As I said, I said, I do not want them out there to fix our power if, number one, they know there are other places that are way more important to get fixed first, and for them to not be out there more than they have to until the weather gets what? Better for them to work out there. If for your own selfish greed and need that you should be prepared for, number one, people have a lot of money for all kinds of things out there. If you're not prepared for a little power outage or this or that, then okay. If your need then is greater than the life of someone that will cater to your need, oh, but they're paid for, don't give me that. There are weather conditions out there. Nobody should be out there, regardless. Okay. Then, yeah. Stay reasonable in your requests. How's that? That's another one. Stay reasonable in your requests. All right. Done. Wow. Where's all that fighting spirit coming from? Jesus didn't just stay laying there, did he? Body decaying or something? That's an interesting one. Did that body really not decay somewhere? I don't know. But I feel a different type of fighting spirit going on here, right? Yes? Number one, don't be so easily misled out there. Huh? Years of someone dedicating themselves to you. 5 minutes of someone else, and all that gets destroyed. Just like this. Because, why? That's a good question, isn't it? Yeah. God's love and blessings always. May He protect you, and I will talk to you all another time. Never give up and never give in on the side of goodness. That's what I believe in.